Super quick video. Was thinking about this whole last shape and my foot and the issues I have with big toe push. And I had done tracings before. I think it was for the unsung engineers, those U22-2s, and I was thinking about how my foot compares against kind of common lasts and these insoles from Nix. You see right here, this is an insole from Nix. This is a brown Chrome XL, I believe. And they're not an exact, there's a little bit of exaggeration because these have to be smaller than the actual footbed that they last the boot on, because it has to fit inside of the boot. Obviously, if it was the same size, it would roll up the side and not work. So keep in mind, this is a little bit smaller than the actual footbed would be, but that's their insole, which I'm not sure, if it's really designed for a 55 or a 67 or H&W. It probably has to work for all of them, right? It's just a generic size. So, keep that in mind. It's not perfect, but you could see, if you look at it, first of all, you can see my toe print there. And let me bring it a little bit closer to the camera. You can see, there we go, where my foot is. And this is an 11 to 11 and a half, I think. I'm trying to remember how they do the sizing of the insoles, but not quite a 12. And I'm I would say kind of at the end of this as far as the fit. And if you look, the big thing I'm trying to point out is, look at my big toe. It's kind of rolling off the side of it a little bit. And if you look there, this is basically what I was trying to visually see. Is I put this thing down here. Well, I line up the heels because they're, my foot and the actual heel of this is about the same size. But then I traced out the insole and my foot. And I'll pull this up a little closer to the camera as well. But you can really see it here. The red is obviously my foot. And I kind of put you call it a little dot pattern in kind of the space around my foot. So I traced around the toes and everything, which, kind of aren't exactly shaped, but they're not going to shape a last, if you will, to your toes. And honestly, don't get hung up on this. I feel like it's just kind of the side of your foot kind of blobs out, but my foot's not uncomfortable if that gets kind of pushed up. So this maybe isn't so relevant. The little toe, I've had issues. The H&W last really smashed my little toe, but outside of that, I haven't had too many problems with the 55, 67. The little toe's okay, but this is the severe problem I always complain about. This area right here outside of the blue line, and again, this is a little exaggerated because the real footbed of, say, my 11Es is not going to be quite that small, but look at that. This is my toe where it wants to be, my big toe, when I'm standing and putting weight on my foot, and kind of, your toes splay out a little bit when you put weight on them and stand. This is not being allowed. Maybe it's not quite as tight as that blue line, but it's definitely outside of the realm of what the boot's allowing, and that's my problem. These P&W lasts are not shaped for my foot. And other lasts too, I talk about the 79 last from Truman, and that's a pretty bad last, pretty horrific last. For my foot, for sure, it's definitely horrific, but I think for a lot of people it's pretty bad. And I want to show you, like, if I put my foot on this, and again, this is with my preferred thinner socks, but, it's kind of hard with the camera, but you can see, that's the shape of my foot. Honestly, I can splay this big toe over banana over there. It kind of wants to do that a lot, like when I wear flip-flops. But even if I kind of just press it normal, it's kind of, I can't really put weight on it. I'll block the light, but here, let me move this. Like, that's how my foot's shaped, the red, and then I kind of just smoothed out the curves because it would make a boot kind of look more normal. And those lasts, they're not shaped that way at all. And this came to mind today because I was using, my old, not my old, but these White's chore boots I got. They come with a foam insole, and it's thicker, and it takes up a lot of space in the toe box because it lifts your foot up. I actually swapped in these old, these are also Nix insoles, same Should be the same cut. They use the same dye, I'm assuming. These are a little bit thicker than this Chrome XL player. This is like max support black. I bought these on the Nick's Amazon page a couple years ago, I think. I used to have those in the Franks, and those Franks I sold. I gave the buyer Wicked and Craig Nick's insert that I hadn't used yet because it's similar to the Chrome XL, seemed a little bit thinner. This max support one is a pretty thick one. And I'm like, this might work, and I compared it to the foam insole, the White's foam insole that comes with the chore boot, and it was basically the same size. So I swapped this guy in and wore them today, and lo and behold, they're more comfortable because I have a little more toe room because my foot fell a little lower in the boot, and then the heel honestly doesn't really feel too bad. I might even try wearing them with a slightly thicker, like a normal boot sock, because with these thin socks, they're almost a little roomy with the leather insert instead of the thick foam White's insert that comes with it. But yeah, it just kind of made me think, hey, I got to trace my foot again, and I got to think about this. And others I know kind of fit in the same situation as me with the banana foot, you want to call it, or whatever, the red. And again, this is kind of misleading over here. This part isn't so relevant because when you wear a boot that's fitted, it kind of just pushes that part of the side fat of your foot or whatever up, and it's fine. But the little toe, so like maybe the curve would be like this. It needs to be something like that. Maybe I should have drawn one more line of this coming down after my little toe and connecting to the blue line there, or somewhere around there. Maybe split the difference and kind of in between. And that, I think, would be the ideal last. So, maybe what I need to do next is just literally do tracings like this a little bit more carefully, and maybe with a slightly thicker sock than my thin sock, just so I have more options, and contact one of these bespoke, I think a lot of the Indonesian and some of these, I really wish I could get a hold of Willie's in the Philippines, because that's the brand I'd really go for, but I don't have a social media or WhatsApp and don't want to create an account just to buy a boot. It just feels nonsensical. They can't have an email address. Like, what's going on with that? If they're not willing to put in the effort, then I'll find somebody else. But somebody who can do, or maybe Unsung, they can do custom boots. I don't know how else to buy them because they don't have a website to sell them either. Their site's just their pricing for resoles. But maybe I just need to try a custom boot instead of trying to squeeze my, square foot peg into a round hole, boot, standard boot, and none of them work. This is possibly a really bad example because these P&W boots are generally narrow. You hear other people talk about it. Hey, Rose Anvil's talked a bit about that. I'm sure you've seen his channel, but these last, I don't know what the deal with the loggers were back in the day, but they either had narrow feet or just wanted a super snug fit to keep them secure. But these are exaggeratedly narrow boots, and I wear an E in them, and I'm not even an E width foot, but that's what I have to get based off the circumference of my foot and their sizing, and it does fit correctly in that regard. But the toe room is still problematic. If this kind of curved out more, like if out here for my big toe, it'd actually probably be perfect. Again, this is not too much of an issue, even though it looks like it would be horrific. It's just this spot that drives me nuts. It's just so uncomfortable. The push. I vary from, too much till I sell the boot to its discomfort at the end of the day. Or boots that I don't wear as much because they bother me. And meanwhile, you have this wasted space up front. It's just kind of weird. They're long and narrow, sort of, the P&W lasts, and it's problematic. This is a weird last, this 610. I need to talk more about it as I wear it more, but I'm still trying to form my opinion of it. It seemingly is also pointed. You can maybe see a little bit of that here. It's a little bit of a pointy last. But not, I don't know, I feel like it's not quite as bad as the 55, but it's definitely a little pointy, and it's curved over again. My foot, as you can see here, clearly curves this way. I call it my banana foot, and the only last that I really feel does that correctly has been the True Balance from Alden. I'm going to find out about the Truman 56 because it's how it sort of has some of that curve over vibe. And I know Viberg made some Anatomical last that was really skinny here, but it kind of bent over to the inside of your, where your feet point in. And that one, I remember some video someone did, that one's kind of Anatomical. But most of the last kind of assume you don't have any toe splay on the big side and your toes somehow only go this way or go straight, and that's not how my foot is shaped at all. This visually really shows it, and it's kind of insane to see. Does anyone else have a foot shaped like this? Where your foot wants, honestly, doesn't this look like those Keen shoes? Maybe I need a pair of Keen hiking sneakers shoes. That's not the kind of footwear I'm into. But yeah, this is how my foot's shaped. So anyway, thought I'd share that. Cheers.